Test, test. That looks good. All right. Howdy, folks. My name's Dave. I'm a woodturner, and I started turning as therapy for PTSD. Found out I had a knack for it, fell in love with it. Then I started teaching it, fell in love with that too. So I started this channel to become a better teacher, a better demonstrator, and a better turner because even with all the information out there, there is no shortcut. The secret sauce is practice. And the more that I share the things I've learned over the years with other turners, the more it gets cemented in my own head. So it's a win-win. I get to turn and explain what I'm doing and all that groovy stuff. It gets cemented in my own head, and I get to share it with you. So thanks for joining me. It's Wood Turning Wednesday here on Twitch. Last night, I should be looking for these too. Here they are. So last night, we got, I'm going to switch cameras here. There we go. So last night, we got this box and lid finished. This is sarsaparilla, and this is a maple burl with a lot of bark inclusions. So got that set, ready to go. I took the liberty of drilling the hole for the finial a little earlier because I needed a little bit of extra time with it. The wood is it's a little soft because it was part of the burl, and that part of the burl was actually starting to break down. So it is the very early stages of that. So you can see, along with the beetle holes or larva holes or whatever those holes are, it might even be they bore all the way through. I doubt it's a wasp that's doing that. I'm sure those are small little beetles or larvae. Anyway, you can see the washed out. Let me turn that guy off, and maybe this will help. Sorta. Okay, so you can see kind of like the washed out color of of this maple. Even right there, there's a little bit, and you can see it on the inside of the lid as well, here and here. That is actually, and there's curl in there too, but that discoloration is generally the beginning of the spalting process, the beginning of the breakdown process. Most people are familiar with spalting having all these dark lines and all that stuff, but it actually starts out like this before it even gets to that point. Those dark lines is the boundary between types of fungus, and the trees, when they're alive, have a symbiotic relationship with fungus, both underground and inside the tree. And once the tree dies, the fungus starts to take over and starts to break it down. And when fungal colonies are fighting for that resource, so to speak, you'll see that those dark lines. And I'm probably guessing that's all of the carcasses or whatever you would call it of the fungus dying right there at that line, because they're competing. They can't get past each other. They just that those dark lines. Just my guess is this at least the stain left behind by the dying fungus. At that point too, you start to see a little bit of punkiness start to develop. And this is a really fine grained punkiness. So I got this just in time, in fact. Once it starts getting any little bit bigger than this, and this isn't too bad. Even this, I probably would normally hesitate to turn because it just takes more sanding. But when it starts getting like real grainy and large punky pieces, then the wood is it's just too far gone. So anyway, I caught this at the right time. Now we're going to start working on the finial. And I thought it might be pretty cool to have this piece of antler here that I had turned used another part of it for something else. I can't remember what now. It was a while ago. So what I did was I set 5/16 hole in there, so I have a dowel rod. I will cut that dowel to fit into this hole, the length of it, and in this way I get access to like the whole piece of antler. I don't have to really waste any of it away. I will have to true this up and then slightly make that surface slightly concave, but it's not like I have to put a tenon on this to hold it in the chuck, because that's what this is for. That is one purpose of this, is to hold it in the pin jaws. The other purpose is to be the tenon, if you will, for the finial itself. So the first thing I need to do here, as I said before, is I need to true this up. And so I'll set this in the pin jaws. I think it will dust off the glasses a bit. Okay. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the start button. I just want to see that that's, at this part anyway, it's mostly running around, or true. I figured I'd have a little bit out here, but up close it's not too bad, and that's kind of where I'm really going to be trimming it anyway. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do want the antler itself to be running true. So now that I see that that's happening, I'll just get a little more pressure on the chuck there. And did I walk away? I did. I'm going to grab my skew really quick, and then I'm going to turn on the overhead light. Well, it looks like I might need to hone this, perhaps. Well, maybe not. Not quite sure. I'm just going to true that. And you can turn antler and bone on a wood lathe. I definitely wanted to clean off, because I used epoxy inside the antler to hold this wood in. I didn't want to use CA glue. CA glue doesn't move with temperature changes. Epoxy has a little bit more elastic. Ultimately, I mean, I'd really rather use wood glue, but I just want to make sure that it's going to stay together. I'm not completely sure that wood glue would hold that. You know what? I do need to hone that. I'm having trouble engaging the point there, so we'll just straighten that right up. In theory, anyway. Well, I can see there's a little bit of a burr on one side. So this is just a fine credit card diamond sized, or fine diamond, fine grit credit card sized diamond hone. It's actually a nice little hone. And I keep a fine and a coarse grit, so if I do actually have to do some serious resurfacing or whatever with a tool, I've got the coarse grit diamond card. And I got these, I picked these up on Amazon. They weren't expensive, and I don't recall the brand name or whatever, but you put it up on Amazon's inquiry box or whatever they call it, and I'm sure it'll. It's kind of strange. Let's see if that helps. Oh, I know what it is. I think. Let's try this. Nope, it sure is the overhead one. Well, not much I can do about that. I need that light. So I was just worried about the glare from the overhead view. So I'm just going to, I've already trued it up. Now I'm going to use the skew to make it a little bit concave. And I'll probably finish it off with a spindle gouge. And I think I'm done with the skew. Take it all over the wood. Now I can turn this whole thing once I get it flipped around. We'll just start off with, you know what, that probably is really not going to matter once I get this thing in there. Let's see. I will have to redo it, I bet you, I bet you. But I will have access to the whole thing, and I don't have to really, like, I don't have to waste away something for a tenant. I haven't had to look for antler material for a while. Okay, so I'm going to bring my skew up for this guy probably. True that up. But I do need to make sure that this is secure. Okay. So I'm using the point of the skew because I've got, well, I do need to go the other direction with this guy. And I just hit the off button. Let's move that down there. Leaning over the lathe, I hit the off button. Wait for it to get up to speed. Just use the point of the skew to knock off the high parts. Antler, like, you know, it's bone, it's harder material. So just take your time with it. I haven't actually turned ivory either, like real ivory. So at some point that might happen. I'm willing to give it a shot. That'll be true enough down there. I think you can definitely tell when they're working bone because of the odor. Okay, spindle gouge. So it's a little bit concave on the bottom, so that it sits on this outer edge, and I'm going to just make a little chamfer reveal there. Let's go a little bit Come on, I think since this is antler, maybe I should speed this guy up. Alright, so I want to work, and now that's finished actually. I won't get in the way of that now. Actually, hold on a second. I was going to move it in further on the pin jaws, but so my left forefinger is just resting down here up against the antler. It's not pushing really hard. It's just flowing right and sliding right by me, so I'm not building up any friction. But it is helping me with the vibration that I'm kind of creating, which you can actually hear. So now that I got that bit turned, I'm going to turn it around. Or not turn it around, put it further into the chuck. And that will help mitigate that vibration when I'm working out here. Because I'm working with a 5/16 inch tenon to start with. It's not like it's this as thick as that material, so I'm gonna have some flex. I still think, yeah, I thought I was off. Okay, that'll be about right. So just kind of need to figure out what I want to do for a fill out here. Boy, man, that bone sure does get warm. All right, so let's see. If we look at this lid, the whole upper thing, I think let me try something here. With the antler, sometimes you'll find in the, I guess, the marrow part of it, large cells, large bone cells, whereas these are pretty small. So I try to get that part of the antler that's really dense when I'm turning. But if you don't, you can seal up or make the bone a little bit harder with like CA glue. I haven't tried a really thin epoxy yet. I don't know how it would flow through the bone or if it would at all, but CA glue does seem to soak into that lattice work. I mean, it's calcium, right? Which is a metal, so we all have internal metal skeletons, which is kind of amusing. So it fills up all the lattice when the calcium forms into bone, which is what antler is. It gets into all those nooks and crannies. So I don't know if epoxy would do that. I guess if it was thin enough, maybe. But I haven't tried it, so I don't have any. I think it would be better if I could do that. Maybe like a cactus juice might work. But then you got to heat it up, and I don't know what that would do to the bone. It might discolor it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, depending on what result, if you like the results or what results you're looking for. I think that it is going to be something that I need to explore, perhaps, which would be cool. All right, so now I would really like to make a chess set out of antler. I think that might be really cool too. So maybe I'm in the market for maybe I'm in the market for antler, or if anybody has anything they'd like to donate, hey, let me know. Let's see. Let's see. How do I want to do this? Whoops! I just lost my tool rest height here. Looks about right. So let's see here. Maybe it'll just be a simple thing. Let's see. So I'm not using the tools any different than I would on wood or resin. I haven't found yet, although I'm sure it's possible, like bone maybe has a drain direction. But I haven't done a lot of bone yet either. So that's on my to-do list, or my bucket list, or whatever. Things I want to spend more time with. You know, I'm not loving it yet. Okay, that I'm liking a little bit better. Now I'm wondering if I should leave that line there and make it a feature. Yeah, I think I will. And even though I moved my tool rest up, I feel like it's still a little too high. There we go. Alright, let's adjust this guy, I think. Let's see. That ivory would just be really cool though, to turn. Seen old historical photos and actually some actual pieces of what do they call it, scrimshaw? An art form that sailors devised. At least I think they did. I don't know where maybe that tradition came from, although I've always associated it with the 17th and 18th, maybe even 19th. I don't know if they got that far, but century sailors. Using ivory as a, that actually looks alright. Let's make that a bead. Or rather, let's roll that over. Yeah, that looks alright. On now. Yeah, that's looking pretty nice. I think that'll be a nice finish. Okay. The wind she is a blowing. That is too fine. I think actually, let's go with, it's 400. What's this guy? It's probably 600. I'm looking for 320. There it is. Let's go with 320 on this one. Kind of tricky to work on stuff this small. I think that is down there. Alright, let's see how that looks. Well, heck, man, that's pretty alright. That's a really neat little fail. I'm liking that. Okay. Very nice. Let's make sure I don't really have any tool marks, because those will really show up. All right, take this guy out. And we're going to trim to fit here, which means I will want a little piece of backup wood. And this guy, and this guy. Ooh, that makes it kind of easy, actually. Pencil. So one of these tooth marks from the jaw is like the exact spot I need to cut. Easy there, Pilgrim. Throwing stuff around my shop. What's wrong with you? And I like to go around. If I could do this on the lathe, actually I can. Duh. Actually, I believe I can do this on the lathe. So let's give it a shot. Skew. I won't quite have enough room in there. Let's give it, bring it out a little bit more. And just for fun, we'll chamfer it just a little bit right at that corner. Oh, and wow, I've got it on a lathe. What would work best? I think this probably will work best. I'm going to put a little groove in here so that well, in my case, I think I'm just going to use a 5-minute epoxy. But that way the glue has an escape route in case I don't leave enough of an air gap when I'm putting glue in there along the sidewall of the drilled hole. Get that out. Okay. As I've said before, I don't normally part all the way off like that. I usually want to try to cut through with a saw, just so I don't have fuzzed up, goofy looking fibers, but that's going to be hidden. So I just need to get rid of this little tenon that's left over. There's not much to it. And that should fit right there. All right, so now take that little bit of dowel out. I don't need this any longer. Not for this project anyway. Alright. This guy up. Now I'm going to attach this finial. Let's look at it from a distance over here. I guess you're not really going to. I am. I like it, and it also kind of reminds me a little bit of, one of those bells. Yeah, that shape is kind of reminiscent of that to me. I'm gonna take off. No, that should be fine. Okay. So I'm gonna go grab the epoxy really quick. We'll set that in there, and then I'll work on another project while that one sets. And once this is set, then I will put the buffing balm on it. Curious to see what that will do to this antler. I'm not going to seal this antler with any glue or anything. I want to see what the buffing balm will do. Oops. Bumpity bump. Might be handy to have a bit of paper towel handy. I may need actually a little bit more. We'll see. Nope, that appears to be a little too much, in fact, just a little bit. So, I'll clean this up, clean that off. And then I'm going to run a little bit of abrasive over that to get the glue off the surface. I can find the piece of abrasive that I was working with earlier. I don't want to work. Oh, there it is. This one will work. So there's really no, there we go, grain or anything like that to line up. Well, I may have taken a little bit more off than I should have. But I think I still have time. I think working with epoxy is always a little tricky. I think that will probably be enough. Yeah. All right, so there's really no grain to line up, but I do want to line up what looks or appears to be the grain in the bone with somewhere on here that it might match, and that looks all right. And we'll set that aside for a while and let it set up. And once that's ready to go, put the buffing balm on it and get to see what that looks like. I think that'll be pretty cool. I'm hoping anyway. I've never used the buffing balm on bone, so this will be interesting. Let's get rid of that epoxy. Move this aside. And move on to the next project. So I had an idea that I'd like to turn I guess I'm going to call it a stoppered box, and I should get the latest one I did. You know what? I'll do that. Kind of have an idea of what I'm going after. I got a couple projects I could do actually, but let's try one of these. I got some cherry burl. I'm hoping that it is sturdy enough to turn. I don't think it's too far gone, but I won't know until I break into it. So this is what I'm calling a stoppered box. It's just got a bubble cover and then a little wooden stopper. Oh, you didn't even see that in the camera. So a little wooden stopper for a little jar. So I want to turn one like this out of cherry burl. Let's see what that looks like. Because this might be something I'm going to start turning for a while. Because I like this idea, this shape. So let's play. Okay, first thing is I'm going to need that guy. I'm going to start with the larger piece of burl I've got. Now it's not, well, yeah, it is. It is going to be burl all the way through, but some of this I won't be able to use. I've got a big split here. It ends somewhere right around about there. I'm hoping to use the thicker part of this for the box. But if it doesn't pan out, I've got another little burl here that might. It's got some splits on the branches, but I can't tell if it gets into the burl or whatever. So we'll find out. So first thing I want to do is I want to get this dude up on. Well, actually, the first thing I want to do is see if there's any loose bark. Where's that? Let me grab my chisel here. Is that loose? Oh yeah. So there's been some beetle damage to this. So that might make it interesting, but it's also going to make it dusty. So I most likely will be wearing a mask, at least until I get past the depth of where all the beetles like to eat, which is pretty much underneath the bark. That would have flown off real easy. How about that guy? Ooh, man, I'm getting some cherry sap in there. I wonder if I can rescue that. I don't know. Probably not. So that came off pretty easy. How about you? Not so much. That will. Okay. That looks pretty good, I guess. Now I want to get it on its balance point. And I need to move that gouge. Looks like that'll be pretty close to. Yeah. Well, now, I don't know. Let's try it on this side instead. I'm going to say something like that. And maybe I'm wrong. So I'm going to start up on this side. I'm going to move it up quite a bit. Okay, I'll start on this side now. Move it up a little bit. I'll move it up more. Which means I'll need to move this one up more. Let me think I might need to cut this part off really quick. Because I don't quite have enough. Although maybe I can, oh, well, let's just cut it. Just cut straight down with a handsaw and then chisel away a step just to have more real estate for one point or the other to make contact with a flat surface. That's a little bit too fine-toothed. But hey, I got a kerf started anyway. Let me do something with my tool rest here. Maybe that will help me steady it. All right, that might be deep enough. Wham-a-lam. There we go. All right. Okie dokie. Just double checking something here really quick. Okay. All right, so let's go again. Pick that spot and say that spot. Still heavy down there, so let's move this one up. Move this one up. Move this one up. Go up just a little bit on this one. Whoops. Came off the point, so now it's going to be out of balance. Let's move this guy up a little bit. Too far. We'll get it eventually. I want to eliminate as much vibration as I can. Okay, it's not touching anywhere, so it's not dragging. Wherever I move it, it stays. We'll call that good. And crank this dude down. As much as I can anyway. I don't know, maybe this lathe won't let me tighten down enough. I don't know that I've got. Okay, that's not too bad. And it's time to switch over to the longer tool rest. Okay. Let's see, that's about right. Oops, spindle is locked. Ooh, that won't clear. Alright, so I'm going to work on making it round. I'm going to turn the speed way down first, and I'm going to lose the skew. Let's put that away. I don't need it for this, I believe, and it'll take a tumble eventually. So we'll just take it out of there. Okay, let's start her up. Oh, I guess I need to move this too. Just got extraneous tools laying around from very recent projects, and I really need to. There we go. Get some of them out of the way. Okay. So, not really much vibration. 600, 800 RPM. I'm going to go with that. It's really no vibration because I got started on the balance point. And I've got enough practice that I know where my tool needs to be on the tool rest. So I'm watching the lines up here to see where I'm cutting rather than into the shadows where the tool is cutting in. All right, move in some. Maybe not that much. Got to move a little bit slower. This is a 1-horse motor, but it's a 1-horse DC. Take a look here, so that split ends right about there. That split ends, no, right about there, but I don't know how deep it is. There's a pith there, so this might be the end of it, but there's no split here. So that might mostly go away. All right, just keep on working it down. See where we're getting dull. Hey, now you're not supposed to move. What are you doing? Oh no, it looks lovely spalting. Looks all right. It's just this split I'm kind of concerned about. And I'm not really getting the dust I was worried about with this piece so much. So, but also the fan is on, so that helps. definitely tells me. Test, test. All right, so sorry about that, folks. I lost audio on the other mic. It finally gave up the ghost and needs to be recharged. I need to wear a mask because all this dust is it's dustier than I thought, and so it's causing me some respiratory problems. So we'll eliminate that by wearing a mask. I'd really like to have one of those powered masks, like with a belt, rather than having everything on top of your head, because I've got fusions in my neck, so having a belt with the battery pack would be better than having the entire unit on top of my head. I don't know how long I could put up with that with the fusion that I've got, so instead of testing the theory, I think I'll just skip it and save up the money for one of those types and get something that will be, in theory, more comfortable right at the get-go. So, seeing all this bug dust, so they chewed the cambium layer all the way around the tree, and that can kill a tree. I mean, it will kill a tree. I know ringing a tree, and that's removing the bark in a ring all the way around the trunk of the tree, will kill the tree above that ring, because you're getting rid of the cambium layer. No nutrients or anything else can go up into the upper part of the tree, and so it would make sense then that the bugs doing that underneath the bark, eating all that cambium layer, would eventually kill a branch or the entire tree, depending on where it is in the tree. All right, so now I can see we got a bunch of splits here, bunch of beetle holes, a bunch of splits. So I'm gonna turn this, see what we get. I may have to switch gears. I've got some other projects over here that are ready to go if this wood is not good enough or really good for turning. I always want to err on the side of safety, and I mean, I think that a lot of younger turners, and I don't mean by age, I mean by experience, because I did this too. Like, you want to use every single piece of wood, even if it's punky. You want to check. And I've done that exploration, but I don't want to use that stuff anymore. It's a lot more work, because you do have to clean up eventually all of the marks that get made. And if it's like a really granular punky stuff, well, sanding that sometimes doesn't even work. No matter how you sand it, it just stays punky. Now, I can see, stabilizing it. That would be a way around that. But getting into that stuff can be kind of spendy. And I don't need all of that extra stuff floating around my shop when I have access, in a lot of ways, to good turning wood. Okay, it's still a little heavy somewhere. Let's see, it's right there. I went too far. Move just a little bit like maybe a 32nd of an inch. Is it rubbing anywhere? Let's see it rubbing anywhere. Oop, that's what it is. Alright, so I'll move this side up just a touch. Went too far on that one too. So it's just going to be little micro movements to get it to be on the balance point, and I may just I think I'm going to call it good because I'm missing it by just a very minute amount of distance. We'll call that good enough. Oh wait, actually I should be looking at something else here. I should be more looking at this mass, because that's where most of my mass is in this piece. It's right here. Alright, I'm going to have to get this underneath the chainsaw again, and I'm going to cut it so that I can get it on this angle. So we're moving on to a different project. I thought that would be okay, but now that I look at it on the lathe with the bark off and all that, most of the mass is actually right here. So if I turn that round as opposed to this round, I won't be losing as much of that burl. I'll be losing this part and a little bit of that part, which in this wood really isn't burl wood, and there's splits right there anyway. So we'll reshape that under the chainsaw. And I'm going to wear the mask for just a few more minutes while I do that, so I can let the dust settle a little bit. And how did I smack that? I don't know. And so I've got a piece of walnut over here. Whew! That I can make a nice little lidded box out of. I want to refine the shape a little bit better than what it is. Actually, I can just get right up on it. Make this a little bit more bulbous, more of a, what, garlic shape, I guess? Onion, garlic, okay, a little of both. That would be groovy. So, spindle gouge, you're up. We'll use you for this. And I'm quite sure I'll need to adjust my tool rest. I don't need the big tool rest now, though, either. Or the long one. That's going to set too high. Is it, though? Let's see. Well, for the spindle gouge, it's perfect. For the bowl gouge, it sits a little too high. So we'll go with this one first. With the Kopfcover back on. Goodness gracious. The amount of mucus a body can produce just frickin' blows my mind. Okay, So let's adjust this shape some. I am eventually going to have to hollow it. It's interesting, it's a little bit out of round, so it must have been kind of green when I turned it. That's the sounds I like to hear. Just the shoosh of the tool cutting into the wood. Oh, that actually would be a really neat shape if I can pull that off. I'm pretty sure I left this part on there because I was intending to use that piece of the timber for the lid. But I think I have other options I'd like to explore. It's getting close to a shape that I think I might like. What you got going on there? Burned into the wood? No. That's not a clean cut. That's what that is. There we go. I think, let's see, I do want that flared out. And I'll be turning that into a bead. Yeah, it doesn't help when you're going the wrong way of the grain. Come on. You got this, dude. Yeah, that'll work. So now I can separate all that. I may need to adjust that bead once it's in the chuck, but that's okay. Try to keep an eye on the audio too, so because I have not charged these microphones. I'm trying to run them completely down rather than just because they're supposed to be good for 7 hours. They haven't made it that far yet, but they've made it like 5 or 6, which ain't too shabby. Be a nice glue block too, but I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet, so we'll just set it aside. Set this guy out of the way. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I think I like that shape, and I think come on. I don't know if I'll be able to put. I just bumped that again, didn't I? I'll put a dome over it, dome lid, dome, yeah, or not. I don't know yet. I think I'm going to attempt it though, because this would be a really, I would think, a really nice piece to be able to do that with. But I think, that what I would wind up doing is making the neck shorter. And then that dome could sit over that. Nah, don't like that idea either. Or maybe I do. Let's see. A little bit off center here, which is surprising since I had it in between centers, and everything should line up, but that does occasionally happen too. Try as you might, Every time you take a piece off the lathe, you can never get it right back to exactly running true again. And that does happen a lot for many turners, and it gets to be a pain in the butt to try to recenter it. Okay, let's see. If I just cap it, all right, let's explore that. So I'm gonna have to get rid of this. I'm gonna redo my bead. I went right off the side where there was no support. This is in spindle orientation. So there's a little bit, hey, Evidus, how's it going? So there's a little bit of tear out there because I didn't have any support for the cut coming off the piece. Just a... I am late. The programming talk ran late. Oh, wow. Oh, well, hey, man, thanks for showing up. So that way I'm cutting into where I have support for the fibers, and that is going to be really clean. So I think I'll set my bead to be right here, and you know what? I'm going to go with a smaller gouge. And this can meet right in there, like that. That up. Do I want to put any more detail in this? On the outside. Yeah, why not? Why not? And then feed this guy right into that. Feed like that. Clean that up. That's looking pretty alright. Yeah. And then I'll make a lid for it after I hollow that dude out. Yeah, that looks all right. So let's throw down some abrasive. On this one, I'm also going to wear the mask. So how's it going out your way there, Abaddis? How's the, I can see at least on weather maps like what they're saying, where the smoke is coming from, but how's it going out where you're at these days? Well, maybe you're lurking. All right. Probably, I guess it'd be my guess if that meeting ran over late and you're just now getting home for dinner. Wow. Well, see, here it's 10 o'clock, so in Canadian time, I think that's. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, so 7 o'clock? Oh, that's a good question. So, like, does Canada normally use like a 24-hour or 12-hour clock? I'm more used to a 24, although most of the U.S. runs on a 12-hour clock. But you know what? If I don't have to say AM and PM, I mean, that's just. Although people who are not familiar with 24-hour time, when you say, "Hey, I'll meet you at 1300," what the hell is that? Look at your clock. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 12, and then you start all over again. 13 all the way to 24. So that would be 1 p.m. So I get in the habit of asking people now, especially since I'm also a night owl, when they say, "Hey, I'll meet you at 1," is that AM or PM? Because if it's AM, we'll probably be all right. If it's PM, I don't know that I'll be all the way awake yet. And I perhaps would like a little more time for that. You know, actually, I think I'm going to change this design a little bit. And do something like this instead. There's more of a band there. Yeah, I think that looks better a little bit, mostly. I think that piece of abrasive has had it all the way around the edges. And so, Abaddis, you'll get to see it here in a little bit. Was it 10 o'clock? Yeah. You'll get to see it here in a little bit before I wrap up the broadcast this evening. I'll finish off the lid is already finished of the box that I started last night. And I used antlers for the finial. And looking forward to seeing what my buffing balm does with antler. That might be cool. I do have some antler dye too, now that I think about it. I could darken that puppy right up, but I think I like the natural look of the bone with the wood. Alright, let's touch that bead up a little bit. And that spot up a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a tool mark there. Let's take a look. There's a little bit. Come on. A little bit of a lot of tool marks on that spot. I didn't quite sand it good enough. Or actually, I added tool marks with the sanding paper, which I hate when it happens, but it happens. Hey, come on, get out of there. I use that center bit. Oh, I can't. This is dark walnut, and it's older timber, like been sitting around older for quite a while. It's not punky or anything like that. It's just makes it a little bit trickier to sand. Okay, now I'm going to go to the Grex Sanded. Let's move all of this aside. Come on now. Giddy up. Move along. See what kind of goodness that gave me. Yeah, it's just really, really like super dry. wood. Let's go down to 320 with this guy, because surprisingly 220 is leaving sanding marks on. Oh, well, it doesn't help when I'm going backwards, does it? No, not this time. But even using the grip sander, that left some pretty gnarly sanding marks now. Okay, that looks a lot better. It's kind of wild. All right, there we go. So I'm going to hit this with the buffing balm. I like it. It kind of looks like a thistle. That's the... I was looking for some plant that it reminds me of. It's got a garlic, yes, sorta, at least earlier. Onion bulb, sorta. Now it looks more like a thistle. Alright, so I don't have to wear the mask for that, since I am not going to be shooting dust into the air, but I will need just a quick moment to clear my nostrils. Okay, there's my buffing balm. I think this is really going to make this pop, this black walnut. Some of the stuff that I found that I had was curly as well. That might be some curl in there. Kind of hard to tell right at the moment. Okay, I'm not happy with that either. Where did I put the abrasive? Dave, where'd you put it? Let's grab a new piece. So I need to eliminate some minor sanding marks, and I'm just going with really light touch, following the grain. Oops, wrong way. And go this way. Okay. Oops, what's that? Alrighty. And away we go. Come here. So I'll have this up on my website soon. If you would like to order this buffing balm, you can contact me through Twitch, Instagram, my email address, the website. It will not be sold on Amazon. as far as I'm aware. At least that's not in my planning. Partially because I would think that I would need a lot of volume for that, and the batches that I make are entirely wrong direction, dependent on how much wax that I can retrieve from the hives. I wanted at some point to make a wax producing hive, a comb building hive, but the losses, the colonial losses that I sustained this year, and I'm not the only one, I had to actually use what I had to rebuild my apiary because of the amount of it was just ridiculous, the amount of losses that happened this year, due to climate engineering, geoengineering, what they're spraying in the skies. And I'm sure that in some circles they're still pretending that those are contrails, and they are not contrails. They are chemtrails. I am a military veteran, and I say that because it is part of an explanation of how I come across my opinion. My main job in the service was fuels, oils, and lubricants. And so I was on a flight line almost 24/7 during my military career. Really, it seemed like it. I went where the squadrons went, whether it was a fighter squadron or a tanker squadron. I went where they went, the squadron that I was assigned to, because I was their fuel guy, and I was in charge of their fuel dumps and all that. So I've seen a lot of aircraft fly in the sky on a lot of different kind of weather and a lot of kind of different weather patterns. So I have not. The only time I've ever seen a contrail is when there's too much water in the fuel. Now, every single jet engine is highly tuned, and that fuel has to be clean and dry, as dry as it can possibly be before it goes through those nozzles, or it will gum up the works. So what you're seeing is not every single aircraft. Well, not every single aircraft is, but 90% of all the aircraft that are flying in the sky and leaving a long trail behind it, or an intermittent trail behind it, because they keep turning off the nozzles, the spray nozzles, and then turning them back on, and all that stuff. That is not water vapor. Sounds like a fuel guy wasn't doing his job. Yeah, well, that didn't happen on my watch. I'll tell you that. Those fighter jets are several $billion a piece, and if you're implicated in the destruction of a high dollar military piece of equipment like that, then you get kind of talking to, I guess would be the kindest way to put it, as a military veteran. So you're not seeing contrails, or it's exceedingly rare. If there is too much water in the fuel, that plane's not going to fly. Those engines are going to gum up. They're going to have to ground it, and they most likely will have to replace stuff rather than clean it. Although technology has come a long way since I was in the service. I got out in '91, just after Desert Storm. But I can tell you, man, I've seen thousands of aircraft fly, all the way from biplanes to triplanes. I mean, the old style stuff, it's still out there for air shows, all the way up to any almost any aircraft by any military service. So I've also fueled the SR-71 Blackbird. I have not fueled the U-2, but I have fueled B-1s many times. And all the fighters that are out there, Navy, Army, Marines, or Air Force. So I've handled or I've been around many planes. I haven't flown any of them. I'm not a pilot. But I'm here to tell you that what you're seeing in the skies, and whether you believe it or not is up to you, it's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact based on observation and experience. Those are not contrails. They are chemical trails. And that is what is poisoning or helping to poison the planet. That is one of the things that is responsible for the high colony losses, not just in this country, although the USDA only reports for America as far as I know, and only honeybees because they are actually livestock in this country. Otherwise, they wouldn't report on it at all, and nobody would know. And when you're talking about honeybees, you're talking about one specific pollinator that is not native to this country, but is livestock. One specific pollinator. You're not talking about all of the native pollinators that are out there, all the other different kinds of bees and wasps and whatnot that pollinate the plants too. Some of the pollinators are species specific, meaning they only pollinate one type or just a very few types of flowers or blooms, I guess you could say. I guess it'd be flowers, just flowering plants. And I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to go to the half-inch spindle gouge. So we're not talking about any other pollinators. So last I heard from the USDA is that there were 80% colony losses in the nation. I do know that many commercial beekeepers lost their businesses this year, went bankrupt, and they still don't have, or if they do, because the USDA appears to be under a gag order at the moment. And I say that because they're not releasing any public information, information that is supposed to be public, not public info. They're not releasing it. They're being told not to. And that I have heard from people who deal with the USDA on a regular basis, who have been trying to work out what's going on with funding for certain programs, and the USDA is not allowed to talk about it. Our farm bill is stalled in Congress. Congress, I don't know, is it even in session? I mean, we got Congress members that were invited to an event that we had through Heroes to Hives talking about the farm bill and wanting to relate. What am I looking for? I'm looking for this guy right here. Wanting to relate how the program helps veterans in this country. Heroes to Hives. And they didn't show. They were in district. I guess it is not unheard of. They are avoiding Washington, D.C. It does seem to be. I think it's the Epstein files thing. Among other things, but it's all smoke and mirrors. Of course, D.C. is now under, well, I'm going to say it's under martial law because they've got the National Guard out there policing the streets. And, that's not their job. Unless it is a foreign enemy on domestic soil, then I guess I could see it would be their job. It is an abnormal situation. Absolutely. It's absolutely an abnormal situation. Thank you very much for that. And it's worrisome because if we've lost 80% of just the pollinators that we track, what does that mean for all the other native pollinators or other pollinators that are out there? Well, it means that we've pretty much lost about 80% of them too. And that equates into less food for us humans at the dinner table everywhere. And, I've heard, oh, it's all part of Project 2025 and Agenda 2025, Agenda 2030, yada, 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 population. We want to drop the population. It's happening. It's going to happen because the people aren't going to have enough food to eat because they're spraying shit in the skies. The USDA, again, is under gag order, but the last I read, they said, oh, it's neonicotinoids. Well, that is a factor. It is not the factor, but it is a factor. And there is several things at play here. One of those is the geoengineering of our skies, which is leading to the high soil toxicity in the ground and water. Basically in everything. Everything is being poisoned, including us. For this weather modification that they say, or that is been bandied around, I hate saying they say, because who are they? The government, the people who run those programs. That's who the they is. Keep saying that, oh no, climate change is real. Climate change is caused by too many farting cows and people who eat red meat. That's bullshit. There are, almost 8 billion people on the planet? I don't think there's that many cows. And I think if we're talking methane, well, that's part of our flatulence too. So if they're saying that, oh, it's the cows, but it's not people or any other animal on the planet, I'm not buying it. I don't see how that's possible. And anyway, I guess I don't hate to be political because this is a big deal, man. We're talking about starvation, poverty, in a first world country. And it won't be just this one. Turns out we have some neighbors, and our neighbors are Canada and Mexico. So, and Mexico is seeing, from a news report that I heard yesterday, a higher increase in their. But I don't. I'm a gentleman, right? I broke the wind. Oh shit, that's not good. I'm so on the fence about this robust. I'm just not totally sold on this robust collet system because it just doesn't seem to want to tighten enough. It's almost enough. And so my tools come out of the handle, or they turn, or they whatever. Anyway, it could very well be that I'm not doing it right, but the Jimmy Clues set that I have is working better. So, and I think that I could certainly. I did actually try. I called. Oh, shit, that's not working. All right, I'm gonna swap handle on this. This collet thing is not working for this half-inch gouge, even though the collet that's in it is the right size. Where is my other handle? There it is. So I'm going to grab my Hasseluk handle, which has 5/8 and 3/8 on opposite sides. Tighten this dude down. I can't use that, but I can use this. So pay attention to the skies. I don't know. Yeah, definitely that. But be aware, man. All this stuff that's going on, man, is being a lot of it's being caused by human beings, but it's not the human beings they say that are causing it. It's not the people who need to have a smaller carbon footprint because they have too much of a large carbon footprint. They're using too much energy, blah, blah, blah. Look at all the AI data centers, they do not publish, and they do it on purpose. They do not publish how much water they actually go through to cool those things, and those are super energy intensive. Those farms you make up a lot more pollution than Joe Blow down the street who wants to mow his lawn on Saturday. It's the corporations that are actually causing most of the pollution, but somehow or another, they've got people to believe that they are the culprits, that they are responsible. And that just isn't the case, in my opinion. And so when they say you have to eat less and you have to drive less and all that stuff, what about your corporate jet that you take just to hop across town or go to the next state? What about all those limos that you have? What about all those vehicles that you own? I think maybe we should be looking there instead. But I guess I'm just a troublemaker, which I'm fine with. So enough about political yada yada. I mean, really, pay attention. There's a lot of stuff going on that they're lying about. I can't speak for other countries, and I'm not necessarily speaking for this country, but I will tell you that this country is not a democracy. This country is a constitutional republic. They've sold the bill of the goods of being a democracy to the American people, who have followed along blindly and stupidly because, good golly, that's how our people are, I guess. Two-party system, which was never intended, is not even written in our Constitution. There is no two-party system. This is supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, for the people. However, it takes the people actually doing something. We have the power to call our so-called elected leaders into taking responsibility for the actions that they do, as they say, on behalf of the American people. That's really, really scary. Back to woodturning. So, top cutting this dude and hollowing it out that way. Which is going to be a little bit tricky once I get past this neck. And I'm not there yet. I guess I should have opted earplugs this time. My computer just flickered. I don't know if that means that they're watching me. My computer just flickered. That's funny. I don't know if I'm that paranoid, but I do not trust my government, which is sad to say. Rather, I do not trust the government of this country. It's not my government. They will not be too happy hearing you say that. Yeah, I know. I know. I know it. As far as I'm aware, we still have some free speech left. That doesn't mean we do. But as far as I'm aware, so I'm going to use my free speech. I need to cool this tool off. That's getting very hot. I'm going to step inside real quick. I need to double check the time because if we're getting close, and we are, so I'm going to finish off that lidded box first. I want to put that epoxy should have been set by now, 5-minute epoxy. So we'll put this up on the lathe really quick and buff that in, the buffing balm into it. The tool is cooled off now, and then I'll go back to this guy. So I want to mark right in here, so I get it back in the same, or at least as close as possible, back in the same spot on the jaws. How's that looking so far? Yeah, not bad. My depth is excellent. Okay, so I'm at my finished depth already on that dude. Yeah, I'm sure they won't be happy to hear that, but you know what? It's just because they're scared of the truth getting out. Let's slow this guy down. I think I'll do it at about that speed for now. And you know, I'm not the only one speaking out either. I just think it's such a trip. You know, there's been no news. The only way I knew about the colony losses in this country is because I get the USDA reports. Although I haven't seen any lately, because, well, apparently they're under a gag order. They're not allowed to give out the public information that they're supposed to give out. It's a public information, and I shouldn't have to file a Freedom of Information Act to get something that they're supposed to report on. And even then, I don't know if I would get the information because so many crazy things are going on in the government. It's scary, people, and we're your neighbors. So I'm hoping we get enough people to be cognizant of the fact and start moving in the direction of taking control of their government, of their elected officials, instead of just letting them do their thing. And then bemoaning it later. Oh, well, it is not as bad as I thought. Yeah, it's bad. And it's bad for everybody. Alright, so the buffing balm, let's speed this dude up some. I can buff that in. I guess you could say I'm not totally surprised, I suppose, but I was really, really hoping that our state legislators would show up to, you know, and especially since these legislators say they're huge proponents for veterans, and yet they did not show up to an event that not only the farm bill, the funding for Heroes to Hives mostly came from the farm bill, and the numbers I got were the farm bill. Not that we have one at the moment. Again, it's stalled, but it's about $500 million. Out of that, $500 million, 4 million very much smaller number went to fund Heroes to Hives. And for those of you who don't know, Heroes to Hives is a program free to veterans and their dependents that teaches them how to become successful beginning beekeepers. And it works with MIFS, Michigan Food and Farming Systems, to teach veterans to be the next generation of farmers. And guess where that funding comes from? The Farm Bill. Ooh, man, yeah, it really brought out the bone. That's really nice. Ooh, wow. I was wondering what this would do. Let's take a look at this burl wood. You can see all of the curl in it. The spalting this is the early stage of spalting where the wood starts kind of getting bleached out before it turns into lines or starts breaking down. Depends on the tree and the fungus that's in the tree. This one does not have any lines on it yet. We got it before that point, but it was starting to get punky already. So, and it's a very, very fine grain of punkiness. So it was just starting to go. And so I don't think that this one would ever have had any of those dark lines in it that most people are familiar seeing spalted wood. That's what they expect to see is those lines. You don't always see that in spalted wood. And in this one, I doubt that it ever would have gotten that far. There were so many bark inclusions in this piece that I think that softer material started breaking down a lot sooner than it affected the rest of the wood around it. And that wood started breaking down sooner than would have normally otherwise done. So because this was so heavily bark included, I think that's why it started breaking down the way it did. Let's clean out these crevices here. Again, just a guess. I'm not a tree expert. It's just based on my limited experience. But I think it's a good guess. Just got to clean some of that beeswax out of there. Melted into the cracks, but not into the wood. That's a fairly easy process. Just takes a minute or 12. Yeah, it's pretty clean, but you know what? I'm going to take a nylon brush to that. Just like I'm polishing my combat boots. There we go. So yeah, that is a really nice lid. I like the bone, the antler finial. I think it really sets it off. This is the, where did I put it? Oh, I left it over there. Hold on one sec. So I think it completes the piece pretty nicely. Maple burl, the sassafras, which has got some, it does have some interesting ring features. The pores just are darker than the rest of the wood. I think that looks really nice, but it still kind of reminds me of one of those, bells, those tap bells. But I like the shape. It's too bad that I've got a split that runs through the whole doggone thing. So this is never going anywhere. It's still a finished piece though, and it'll look nice on a shelf, but I'm not going to sell it to anybody. I might give it away if somebody likes it a lot, but I won't sell it. just because I don't know that its longevity would be that would be very high, especially if somebody dropped it once. I think that would break that line the rest of the way through, and it would no longer be a box. It would be two halves, two halves of a box. Let's put that over there. All right, quarter till. So just enough time to get that done. That's cool. Let's go back to this guy. There's my mark. I'm on the same jaw as I marked it from. There. And let's open this up a little bit more. Let's see what. Oh, nope, I'm going to hollow it a little bit more. I needed to get my shoulder here cleaned up. Yeah, let's go about that fast. A lot of vibration. It's almost thin enough. Let's just go this way. Check that wall thickness. It's actually pretty even now. At least at the neck. Need a little more light in there. There we go. You know what? Now's the time that I think I'm going to swap to a heavier tool because I'm getting that vibration. And actually, I think I'm just going to. Oh, that's a spindle gouge. That is the exact tool that I wanted. Use the Hasselhoff handle, but I'll use the other side for this guy. I probably really should take out the half-inch gouge, but it's not necessary. As long as I remain aware that there's a sharp tool on that end. Hey, that kind of looks like... Yeah, never mind. So it kind of reminds me of a battle, which for those of you who are not familiar is, if I'm saying it right, because I don't speak Klingon. I think it'd be cool if I spoke Klingon, but I don't. But the Klingon fighting sword is curved, it has edges, it points on both hand sides. Just where I was going with it. Okay. I'm a sci-fi guy, I guess. I do like... I mean, I grew up with Star Trek, the original series. Watched it every chance I could get. It would just fascinate the hell out of me as a kid. You know, and I need to take that. I do need to take this out because I get my tool handle around. It's getting in the way. So let's remove this gouge. I lucked into this Hasselhoff handle. I can't. Oh yeah, I remember how I got it. Lyle Jameson had an extra, and I happened to notice it. And he said, "Well, that's a handle I don't use. Why don't you take it?" I'm like, "Cool, thanks." So I did. So I am now, yep, that is as deep as I want to go. See, I don't have that tool here, so let's go grab that tool. Come on down to play, man. Oop, needs a burr on it. Raise this up just a bit. And there's a little bit of a nubbin on the bottom that I'm going to remove here. And do a little bit of sidewall. Oh, just missed it. There it is. Yep. All right, so let's open that. Wait a minute. Just the littlest bit I can feel with my finger, so I'll just cut it off by moving the burr straight up, tilting the handle. There we go. Cut it clean. How are we doing on time? 10 minutes. I think I can get this guy finished. Be a little tricky around that. Blow this out. A little tricky around in here, but I'll just take it easy. A little bit more top cutting. Yeah, that opened it up. Let's go some more. Okay, that's good. All right, just about there. Just about. Start. could use a hollowing tool at this point, but it's a tool I don't normally use. I know how to use them, but I think I get really nice, consistent results with the tools that I have. I think that's just about right. So I'm cutting in the upper surface up here. I'm not cutting down below. It's all top cutting. Ooh, I'm getting some moisture out of there too. So this wasn't totally seasoned, so it might actually change shape. Yeah, that's perfect for the bottom. If I can just get that little spot right there. This is all looking really good. All right, so I'm going to work on the neck a little bit. Get my handle out here. It's a nice transition now. Yeah, that'll work. Let's see, I think the neck probably can be a little bit thinner. And then I'll finish that up. I'm not high enough here. Finish the bottom up, or actually the bottom's already finished. I just want to clean up all the transition points. Not leave any corners in there. There we go. All right, so now let's blow this out. Get that light a little bit closer. There we go. Now I'm going to tilt the tool up at a 45-degree angle to get a really sheer scrape. You can see all these super fine shavings that are coming off. It's a very light touch. That should have cleaned all that up. Yep, now I need to, next step is I want to put a lid in here or a plug, one of the two. And what time are we looking at? It's almost 11 o'clock. This is going to take me a little while longer to finish up. Probably about another hour, because I got to finish this part, get this set the right angle for, I think I'm going to use a plug, and then reversing it and turning off the bottom. Now I'm going to get my smaller scraper in there. It's just some really fine lines I want to get rid of here. If my tool will actually reach, yes it will. Oh, that's interesting. That camera just shut off. So I guess we'll adjust to that main camera. Don't know why it shut off. They don't want people to see. Yeah, that works. That got rid of that last line. So there we are. Now I just got to get the angle right for a plug, or figure out a lid, one of the two. Get that set, reverse it, turn off the foot. Cool beans. All right. So we're going to stop there for now. Turn that dude off. Turn this camera back up. All right. So I started off with, we got the other box finished. Started off with a couple of burls. Had to shoot one of them full of CA glue. And this other one I've got to cut in a different configuration, because the widest part of the wood, I want to take advantage of that on that burl, and it is not along the limb that burl was grown on. So I'll put that under the chainsaw tomorrow when I have more light. Blow this guy out. There. Nice surface in there. Very cool. Yeah, so when I have more light, I'll be able to do that. And I am looking for this guy. So we started on this, or finishing this anyway. It's a project that's been sitting around for a while that I never really finished in. So we'll get a lid. Yeah, that looks really nice. I like that shape. So this will get, let's show that shape off again. I like this shape. This is really nice. It reminds me of a thistle, the head of a thistle. All right, so again, my name is Dave. If you got here late in the game, I'm a wood turner, clearly. I got started turning as therapy for PTSD. Found out I had a knack for it, fell in love with it. Then I started teaching it and fell in love with that. So I started this channel to become a better teacher and a better demonstrator and a better turner, because I understand that the secret sauce to all this is practice, and a little more practice. There is no shortcuts, but it does behoove you to get some really competent instruction on tool handling skills so that you can improve your tool handling skills. I don't recommend, unless you know the turner, like Lyle Jameson, Mike Mahoney, me, Mark Gardner, Mike Peace. Don't know of anybody else that I've seen on YouTube off the top of my head. But Instagram, there's Dave Dalby, there's Steve the Woodturner. Let me look at. There's one more that I keep freaking. Oh, I don't know why I cannot retain this name. I'm pretty sure Richard Findlay. Excellent production turners, although that's not all they do. But that's primarily what their main focus is. I think Richard Findlay is bowls, spindles, lamps. He does a lot of cool stuff. Dave Dalby does a lot of spindle work, from really small to really huge. And then Steve the Woodturner does a lot of spindle work too, a lot of furniture parts, stuff like that. Are you on next week? I am on next week. I'm planning on being here Tuesday and Wednesday evening, 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time. I always appreciate the support if you come out and watch. Participate is always better. But if people are looking in the background, they're still watching, that's still supporting the channel. So yeah, I will be on next week, and I'm going to wrap it up this evening. So I hope that you all stay friendly. Hope you stay safe. Hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, and I hope to see you next Tuesday and Wednesday, 8 to 11 Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel on Twitch. Thanks again, folks. I appreciate it. Don't inhale too much of that smoke. The Canadians seem to like to smoke a lot. I'm waiting for Abaddis to. But apparently Canada, among other places, is still on fire. And I hope that those people are safe too. It's not a laughing matter. Very dangerous stuff. So I hope everybody out there is able to remain safe and happy, and homed. At least have shelter. Shelter, food, clothing, water, good water, all that stuff. We have been super lucky here this year. .we. We had more rain than the coastal sea. Wow. That is interesting. More than the coast. Far out. Okay. Well, thanks for that info. That's interesting. So yeah. Hope you all enjoy your evening. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Good night, folks.